How much sportiness is in the Triumph Scrambler 1200X? The answer for you on the 1000 PS Best Lap Test track. Yes, the Triumph Scrambler 1200X is quite a radical retro bike. It is designed to be highly impractical, but at the same time incredibly emotional. And to be honest, I was not quite sure what to expect from it. It is relatively heavy, has a rather coarse engine, and a fairly rough appearance. So I was really curious to see what it could achieve here on the 1000 PS Best Lap Test track, just outside the 1000 PS headquarters in Wiener Neustadt. This machine has that charismatic, massive engine block that creates this adrenaline-fueled, almost trance-like feeling. How should I put it? When you roll on the throttle coming out of a corner, you get a proper kick. Some bikes have that, and this one does too. If you love powerful engines, if you love acceleration, if you love that punchy character, then every time you twist the throttle, it is pure joy, especially when it delivers that solid hammer blow to your back. It is definitely cool, but it is not really going to be all that fast because there is always a bit of instability creeping in. The suspension is very decent, but the sheer torque keeps putting it under pressure. On a very tight and twisty circuit like this, where it all comes down to tenths of a second, you find that both the rear and front become a bit unstable. That means you cannot get on the throttle as early as you would like and cannot aim for the straight as quickly as you would on a more composed bike. That is the downside of this unruly and somewhat rough engine. And since we are already complaining, there is also the limited lean angle clearance due to those peg feelers. The thing is, with its high quality components and that premium overall appearance, the bike gives off the impression that it has real potential, that you can really push it hard. It makes you want to ride in a full-on sporty way, to stick your knee out, and maybe even send some sparks flying. But the thing is, you end up scraping the peg feelers earlier than you would like, earlier than what the bike's overall feel suggests, and that limited lean angle clearance does take away some of the riding fun. I am afraid that this will also be an issue on the road, but Triumph probably had a reason for designing it this way. Most likely it is the engine block or some other parts of the bike that would eventually put an end to the fun. So in that sense, these peg feelers act as a kind of safeguard against more serious mischief. But the bike is just so good overall that you naturally want to lean it over more. You have a very upright seating position and the handlebar is not too wide, giving you precise control. The seating position itself is a bit passive, as is common with scramblers. So if you want to take a more active role in the ride, the foot pegs are positioned a bit too far forward. You sit quite upright and you feel slightly too far from the front wheel. That is complaining at a high level, but I just want to point it out in case you have sporty ambitions or want to know where the shortcomings are. One of those is that when you tip into a corner, it takes quite a while before you have the bike settled enough to start thinking about getting back on the throttle. That is because it tends to run a bit wide, and due to the heavy front, pushes outward slightly. But again, this is really nitpicking. For a bike in the retro segment, it is undoubtedly above average. It has solid dual disc brakes that might initially surprise you with how aggressively they bite. The engine is absolutely heartwarming. And as for the best lap test here on the track, but in terms of lap times, it did not make a dramatic impact. But you can already see that this exhaust, while it looks absolutely stunning, can turn into a bit of a, well, rear-end grille or egg cooker in stop-and-go city traffic, depending on how you are sitting. It gets quite warm down there. Other than that, whether you ride in everyday use or take it out on the track, it does not really matter. You approach this bike, you operate it, and everything is just beautifully designed with attention to detail. And that brings real joy, even though this is supposed to be a more pragmatic review. It stood out to me so much that I felt it was important to mention. I was clicking through the menu, trying out a few things, and I just had this genuine feeling of appreciation, thinking this is a truly premium product. That might even hold you back a little, because right away you get this feeling of, oh, I really do not want to put a single scratch on it, simply because it looks so unbelievably beautiful. So I think it has set a respectable and fair lap time. If you take a purely numbers-driven approach and ask, what kind of lap time do I get for my money? Then of course, other motorcycles will offer better performance. It is relatively high priced, has limited lean angle clearance, and carries quite a bit of weight. But if you consider the overall riding enjoyment, the sheer visual appeal, and the sheer charisma of the motorcycle, then I believe it offers good value for money in its own way.